Taking a summer cruise is a really popular option for a lot of families who are looking to take advantage of all this time off while school's out of session. And today, I've got some summer cruising tips to share. Here we go. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and no doubt if you've got a summer vacation coming up, you might be looking at a cruise, and I'm guessing that's true because you're on this channel watching a cruise video. But that, notwithstanding, taking a summer cruise can be a great idea because in the summertime, you're going to find Royal Caribbean ships all around the world. While in wintertime, the cruise ships are basically relegated to the Caribbean, a couple other places as well, but mostly the Caribbean. In the summertime, they really spread out. They really migrate, if you will, to other markets like Europe and Alaska. And of course, you still have Caribbean cruises. So if your cruise is in the summertime, what should you know about taking a cruise during this period versus other times of the year? Certainly, we're going to talk some generalizations, and we're talking about the Caribbean, Mediterranean, and Alaska. So we're going to start off with the Caribbean, and it should come as no surprise that the summertime is also hurricane season. But that shouldn't scare you away. Hurricane season goes from the beginning of June to the end of November, so it encompasses a wide swath of the calendar year. But just because it is hurricane season does not mean you will actually encounter a hurricane or a hurricane will impact your cruise. But it is possible, and your plans could change. When there's a hurricane out there, typically what happens is Royal Caribbean will obviously track the storm to see where it's going, and if the path is predicted to go in the path of your cruise, then they'll move things around. The reality is storms are really hard to predict, and many of them actually never impact land. But a few do, in fact, get in the way of cruise itineraries, and they go to different countries. And so if there is a storm in the area, Royal Caribbean will change the itinerary to avoid getting anywhere near the path of the storm. Now, the best reason to cruise during hurricane season is, well, lower prices. Cruises during the summertime can actually be a little bit cheaper because for two reasons. Number one, it's hurricane season. Number two, it's hot. Believe it or not, the Caribbean in the summertime is actually the slow season. This is the off season for Caribbean cruising, partially because so many other ships are elsewhere in the world. So there is a benefit for taking a cruise in the Caribbean in the summertime. Now, one other thing you really should know about summer cruises in the Caribbean is that it's probably going to rain every day of your cruise, but don't let that scare you. If you go like about a week before your cruise, you look up the weather and the places you're going to go, almost certainly every day it will show you that it's going to rain. The good news is that's actually not a problem. Rain in the tropics is not like rain maybe where you're used to back at home. There aren't so much fronts that come through, of course, with the exception of a hurricane, but rather pop-up storms. So typically what you'll find in the Caribbean are very much short-lived rainstorms that come in and go away pretty darn quickly. In fact, what you'll usually find is you wake up in the morning, it's bright and sunny out, maybe some clouds or whatnot, and then as the day progresses, sometime in the afternoon, storms pop up, roll through. You'll have a downpour for, anywhere from like 10 minutes to an hour maybe, and then that storm is gone and it's back to being sunny again. So it will probably rain, but not all day, and that's really the most important thing. So when you're planning your summer cruises, plan on a little bit of a downpour, but you don't necessarily need to worry about a complete washout. That's the most important thing. Certainly, it will be hot and it will be humid. The only advantage the tropics has is it typically does not get nearly as hot as other places in the world necessarily during the summertime. The tropics are pretty much even keel, so the temperatures don't swing all that much compared to winter to summer and vice versa. It's not going to be 100 degrees is what I'm trying to say, but of course, with the humidity, well, it might feel like that anyway. So while it might not feel like an oven outside, you're still going to be uncomfortable a lot of times in the afternoon because it's going to be very, very warm and very, very sticky. So this might be a factor when deciding what shore excursions to do. As an example, if you're going to Mexico and you're trying to check out Mayan ruins that are in the jungle, it's going to be really sticky there, as opposed to maybe if you did that tour in the wintertime when it's a little more comfortable outside. Additionally, spending some time by the water, it might not be a bad idea. We're going to talk about this in our European recommendations, but generally speaking, if you're doing outdoor excursions in the summertime in the Caribbean, it might not be a bad idea to try to do water-based, whether you're talking about going to a beach, doing a kayak, doing a catamaran, snorkeling, whatever. This will really help you cool down during your time there. Additionally, if you're taking a summer cruise anywhere in the world, you really want to be hydrated. Bring a water bottle with you. This can be a really good idea. While you can't take your water bottle and directly refill it during the refill stations, of which there are on your cruise ship, it's very easy to just take a cup of water, fill that up, and then pour that into your water bottle, and then you're good to go. It's a really good idea to stay hydrated, especially on these tours. With that humidity, it can really drain you quickly. So make sure you have enough water with you. And of course, you want to wear a hat, sunscreen, and light colored clothing. That is always a good idea to help stay a little bit cooler while on shore. Another idea, especially if you have a port-intensive itinerary on anywhere you're going, is maybe pick one day to stay on board the ship. When you find yourself wilting after a couple of busy, hot port days, maybe stay on the ship. Declare a sea day when you're in port and enjoy a practically empty ship and enjoy a less crowded pool while you take advantage of maybe in-port spa specials or just generally some air conditioning while indoors. This can be a very nice break from the monotony of waking up a lot early, going on shore excursions, doing a lot of cool things, but it can really weigh on you. All right, let's move over to the Mediterranean. And when it comes to taking a European cruise in summertime, especially in the Med, you want to take it slow. Slow down your pace and pick the most important sites that you like to see from the itinerary and enjoy them. At other ports, if independent exploration is allowed, stroll through town, take time to maybe sit at a cafe and people watch while enjoying maybe a gelato or cool, refreshing drink. You might learn a few sightseeing or shopping tips from the locals as well. But really, because, again, it's going to be very, very warm there as well, it's to your advantage to kind of take it a little bit easier, keep it in maybe, second or third gear rather than trying to work it all in. Another good tip for the Med is to schedule your shore excursions for early in the day to avoid crowds. Summertime is a very popular time for tourist attractions in the Mediterranean, and this is not just cruise tourists. We're talking about tourists in general. So my advice is schedule your excursions as early as you can. Also, speaking of shore excursions, as we talked about earlier, it's a good idea to choose shore excursions on the water. So maybe if you're doing a lot of time in Rome and you're really, trying to do all those sites, if you want a bit of a break, try to find an excursion that keeps you on the water. Maybe bird watching or a sea life attraction or relaxing barefoot and going on a sailboat. But there are good choices for staying cool if you can maybe be by the water, because being on the water is going to be just nice as you have that sea breeze compared to being inland. Over in Alaska, well, the good news is a summer cruise, you're not going to have too much of a problem with the heat. But you definitely want to take advantage of the long summer days with lots of sunlight in Alaska. In terms of weather, the best time to cruise in Alaska is late June through mid-July. This is when you're going to have lots of sunlight, warm temperature, dry conditions, and it's great for exploring Alaska. So certainly you're not going to sweat to death in Alaska, probably. But of course, one of my best mantras when it comes to packing for an Alaska cruise is definitely layers. While the afternoon may end up being very comfortable outside, of course, the mornings and evenings will still be chilly. So you're still going to want to bring jackets and layers. That way you can take on, take it off as you see fit as in terms of comfort levels. One other tip about an Alaska cruise in the summertime is the salmon run season runs between about mid to late July, and this is when bears are the most active. So if you're interested in whales, however, August is really when you're most likely to spot them. But the good news is if you have a July or an August cruise to Alaska, you're going to have some excellent animal sighting possibilities. So there you have my top summer cruise tips. Of course, this is in addition to any other tips that are out there, but I really wanted to focus on strategies for taking advantage of going on a cruise during the summer months. Let me know in the comments below, what is your best summer cruise tip? I always look forward to seeing those as well. While you're down there, please hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. That way you get notified when we have a new video. And that little bell icon next to the subscribe button allows YouTube to send you a notification immediately when there's a new video. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.